What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you guys are ready to go. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. No idea. But I went to go find the link to just sign in the way I normally do, and it's just gone. So technology, that's I don't know. I can't even see the attendance listed. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but I do know the market's bouncing a little bit. I knew we got a little bit of a pop today. There was some tariff talks. There was just not really much else, I don't think. I think Trump talked to Oracle and TikTok a little bit after the bell yesterday. I don't think any of that mattered. I think what we're sitting with is a week. Let's go to the weekly chart. Again, today's Friday, so this is this week's candle. Obviously, it's still live. We'll see where this thing actually closes. But more or less, we're just sitting inside last week's candle. So nothing progression wise. We do have a little bit of a potential bull trap. Nah, I don't go on vacation. Where you get that theory from? That's wild. You got SPY, which was at a crucial point. The close was slightly above where we opened last week, so kind of gave a lot back. And then obviously at some point we did break down. Probably more or less just looking for, I think, an inside week, little rest week after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. But today will be super important. The spot we closed above is again this when I get asked this all the time, so I'll just cover it now. We actually talked about this probably a few times. You have big volume, sell off, panic candle. Bears thought they might have this one. This might be that big pullback moment, and quickly sentiment changed. So, and we're going to look at one other example, individual stock. I kind of moved to because I was texting somebody earlier about that, but um, this is your VPOC. So we know on that day with the most volume, at what price was the highest volume on that day. If we get down there, all of those bears who thought we were just tumbling down and incorrect, this does give those bears a chance, an opportunity to get out of their trade for a little loss, no loss, break even, figure out how to reassess, right? So now that makes this a very, very important spot. If we start to break this down again, this is our first retest. If we come down here again, I'd be looking for some puts. I'd be looking for probably a little bit lower. You do have two levels that can hold us that are not too far away, but I think that would be giving us giving up a pretty big sentiment if we start to break down. Let's see, we got a more exact price. Let's go with 675.51 ish, somewhere around there. 670, 657.50, something like that. But that's going to be my line in the sand for me. And then maybe we get that bigger pullback and we still are in that uptrend. So I think it was just really a buy the dip moment. I think the bulls have been up most of the year and pullbacks do happen. So this is a green day yesterday, even though it's a green candle yesterday, but uh, price was lower than the day before. So 3 down days in a row. The next spot I'm looking for resistance. Obviously, I think for today, you got 660, 102 would be an interesting level. This is a little bit of a retest from yesterday. So if we do pull down, we can retest this 651, 51 today. Or first support I'm looking for is 658.45. So we'll see if we're probably range bound in there. Otherwise, not too much volume. That's still an important level, but that would be our first retest into that, closing the gap at least. But the next real volume that not really got retested, we just kind of broke right through it, would take us into the 663 zone. So I think if you're trying to prepare for a pullback, and I don't know if we're going to get it or not, who knows? It's just buy everything all the time, type market. But I think somewhere around that 663 would get you decent risk reward. So if you're going short, buying some puts, if we get into that zone, I think maybe even this one kind of already retested. But I think throwing your stops up here somewhere would give you decent risk reward. Again, you have into the downtrend, probably about a 1.2, 1.5, potentially 2 Rs, depending on how you set that trade up. But we don't know if that's actually going to hold this time or come down. So I think that's probably my plan. Come a little bit higher, put those puts on the table just in case. I don't think I'm going too many. We're still definitely in an uptrend. And yeah, I think this is just an important level we got down to for SPY. So I'm watching those levels for today. We'll see what happens. We got the Qs. Qs are going to get us into a little bit of a retest gap for today. Inside day candle. We tried to fully retest. We almost did. That might be close enough to be decent. This one though, we didn't really retest this candle. This one has all the volume. So once we start closing above 601.06, I think that takes us out of the chop and probably pushes us to the next leg higher. Other than that, for today, yeah, we haven't really hit it yet. We got close, but 595.71 for the first level of resistance, and then I think you got 596.11. Again, that'd be a decent one, but I think you get more of a push probably to like 597.70. It is a retest gap for today, so if we do start to sell at all, and that I don't know if today, if we want to rally first, kind of continue some of the momentum, or the initial reaction is the retest first. I think I would like that retest first and then bounce for the rest of the day. That would probably set us up decent for the rest of the next week in a bullish direction. Other than that, I don't know which way we're going to. As soon as that bell rings, do we get some profit takers buying that dip? That one came down pretty decent. Again, not quite fully retested, but there's that candle, there's that volume. The level I really want to hold is about 587.97 for this one. Again, pretty decent close to it. And the next spot for today to the higher side is 595.71 for today's support, 592.92. Bitcoin, BTC, USD. Uh, okay. Not a fantastic day yesterday. We've talked about this level, this 108 zone, 108, 560, we'll call it. Talked about that one for a couple weeks now. Since we were back in this zone, since we made this break, that was the spot. We've already retested it once, and this is kind of that next breakout. This could be your bounce spot. It better be your bounce spot. If this spot doesn't hold and we start making new lower lows, you do have your 200. Maybe you could get saved on that one. That would take you down to like 106 to 62. But this is such an important level. I think if you break this down, you really have spots not quite under 100 yet. Lowest level of this is 101.490. So see if we get a bounce. Yesterday looked ugly, but I think it was just ultimately still just a retest of that last break. Let's see if bulls can hang in here. If we get some kind of a bounce today. For resistance, I got about 111.683 for today. Support has to be for me 108.500. I think if we start breaking that down today, we probably have a deeper pullback in Bitcoin. Let's go to Boeing real quick, just because it's off the example that we just kind of talked about with the SPY, kind of how I use the VPOX. And again, in the Day Trade Mastery Group, we go through 3 months of really trying to understand, figure out the VPOX. They're such a huge, important technical tool that I personally use all the time. Um, but I was buying calls in two spots. I was buying calls. I think it was. I can't remember if it was this day. I think it was this day. I believe it was that day. When we got into this level, right? That would be your. We got 2 days of VPOX right here. I was like, okay, I think I bought it right when we got into this like 215 zone. Okay, gap up. I didn't sell anything because I'm looking for a bigger move, a little bit higher for Boeing. End of the day, kind of closed a little weak underneath or right at my spot, so I'm still holding for me. Then we start to sell off again. My second buy spot right here, somewhere around this just above 212 zone. And I missed that first one. The chart intraday kind of looked like this and then kind of came back. I even said in the room, I was like, I want that 212 zone to buy some calls, and I just missed it, wasn't watching, paying attention to the day trades. They gave me a gift toward the end of the day, so I was able to get at the spot that I wanted. We got the pullback, and that looks good so far for today. But the reason I'm pulling this up is not to really toot my own horn at all. But this is exactly what I was talking about on the SPY as well. So we do have this candle where bears breaking down, closing weak. Everything is in the bears' favor at this point. And you got your volume at the lower part of that day. So who's being trapped on this gap up? It is the Bears. We did not run up straight, but those Bears are sitting there with some pain and they're going, okay, if this thing starts to go, I'm gonna get out. But if I could get out here, where most of that volume came in on that day, I think this candle changes your sentiment. This is your retest where those Bears have the opportunity to get out for break even or very, very small loss, reassess their position, and then today we get a nice little gap up on Boeing. They do have news, so sometimes you have to get that news to you need that catalyst. But nice little gap up to 223.65 for Boeing for today. That's off of FAA reduced regulations for Boeing, the 737, I think. And again, the news kind of just works with the chart sometimes, gives it that extra catalyst, but that is what's going on technically in that zone of just who's making money, who's losing money, right? So good gap up on this one. I do appreciate the fact that we're above 219.93. That would have been a big resistance. You have another resistance at 222.47. I think the initial reaction to the news got us up to that 222 zone. And you have a little bit more room on this one, but now you have a whole bunch of days that are red at least. Couple decent days that are uh actual red, and meaning that like we didn't gap up first and just kept closing week and week and week. We'll see where Bowen closes. We have every time we've gapped up, we've closed red, so we'll see if there's a pullback for today. But I do want to stay. I'd be okay personally if we stay above 222.41. But the real kind of line in the sand is can we get back down to 220 again? That would probably now set up the next kind of push from there. So not too much room, I don't think, for today, except for maybe that we're trapping a lot of bears, and that might give it a little momentum to it. But watch this 225 zone, 224.94. Otherwise, the next, which I'll be probably all out at this point, if we get to 227.14. So that's the play I'm looking for Boeing for day trade wise. We'll see if we get a bounce first, but I will be more interested again. I've been watching it for the last couple days, attempting trades, and they just haven't. Boeing just hasn't been able to hold a green day or a gap up. Today, maybe a little bit different on that one. We got Aklo. Aklo. Bitcoin is touching 107. Bullish entry should be only after 220 on Boeing. Um, Hold on, let me go back to that real quick. Bullish entry should be only after 220. For today, for a day trade, I think if you get 220, I think that's a good, phenomenal price. I, I think 222.39-ish would be a decent spot to look. But if you want to be a little more patient, obviously we have not held the last couple days. So if you want to wait for that 220, I think that's a very, very good spot. If you were talking about don't get in to Boeing until you break 220 when we're sitting in the last couple days, um, I, that's one way to trade it. That's kind of taking the breakout approach, which I don't mind. The problem with that for me is your stops really have to be down here. And there's not really too many stocks moving as much today, so we can spend some time on some stuff. But this buying it here gets me a lot better risk reward. So I'm risking this for this move and then my bigger target up here if I could get it. And again, I'll probably be out before that. But other than that, it's all risk reward based. So it's all how you trade. You're getting in here on your confirmation, right? So you're getting in at a worse price than I would get here or here, but you're getting more of the confirmation that this holds. Can I get in at this 212 and then this thing doesn't hold at all? Absolutely, right? But I know I'm going to lose very small on the attempt, knowing where kind of that sentiment flips. Let's go back to Aklo. Aklo is was a rough gap down again. Didn't quite fully retest. Got close. The spot I'd be looking for is 108.15. So anything above that, I think I'd be a little bit more bullish into kind of closing that gap up. It does have good momentum to it. Retailers do love it. I think after that breakdown, you're probably looking for if you get to 130.32, I think that would be a really good spot where some of the bulls who hung in as long as possible. Again, just wait for the market to tell you what to do a lot of times. We trade a little bit differently with stops and stuff like that, so we know exactly how much we're losing. The big guys, the big money doesn't really do that as much, right? So if you're getting in here or you got in at $20 or whatever, you sat through this. Where was it that the market told you to actually get out of this trade? Didn't happen. Maybe a little bit of a warning sign, but if you're in it from here, if you're in it from here, if you got in somewhere on this day, this is just a small red candle. You're watching, you're still holding your VPOX, everything looks good. This was your surprise day, right? So this is where bulls say, maybe I should have took some gains off the table. Maybe I should have locked some profits. So you have this VPOC up here. I think that'd be an interesting spot as well if you get to it. But this was probably the line in the sand for a lot of people, and then they got that surprise gap. So, well, I don't know what just happened. For today, I can see some continuation. I would be looking for this gap fill still. I think you still got some more room. Takes you about $10, we'll say, roughly $10. So I think we could have some consolidation, or I think we could continue that run. We might need a little chop first. So at open, maybe the first 5, 10 minutes, if it's just sitting there, not really dropping, not really pushing bullish, there might be a trade. And on that one, I would probably take a breakout as opposed to trying to buy the dip. But as close as you can get to here, that would be an interesting, as close as you can get to, let's find an exact number. 119.54, somewhere around there should be your buy spot. The problem and why I just won't randomly buy there is because my stop is still underneath this day. That's still a $10 move to the downside. Now I only got about a 1-to-1 risk reward if it does indeed get up to that 130 for today. So I need a little consolidation, something like that, get me a better trade than $10 spread, and that would look decent. Let's go with putting that one a little bit higher on the list. Oklo is just doing a fair value gap mitigation. They also had some news. Uh, now my whole chart changed too. I don't. Oh, I think that's what it was. I think I did an update to Chrome. I think. I think that's gonna mess me up. hmm Never ever update your computers. I'm not a I'm not the Geek Squad at Best Buy, but every time I've done it, issues. I think that's what it was. Palantir, I got a little bit of gap up for today from at least a close, still inside day candle from yesterday. I think you have a little bit more risk reward to a bull direction than to a bear direction, but I'd still like to see a little pullback 179.45. Big resistance on this one would take me into 181.69. This one has that was a previous resistance. We retested that, plus got all the way up to this 183.25. So maybe a little chop still on this one. But we've that was a gap down yesterday from the prior day. We fully retested this one. The only thing I would say is you still have some bullish edge longer term, and as long as those supports hold, mainly the support of 179.01. If that starts to break, well, we've already come down, retested this one, 175.36. Maybe that's a target for today. Longer term, I think if we don't hold 179, I think you got better, uh, more likely, I think, move to 170.30. But for now, we are still hanging in to Palantir. Boeing, we did look at already. Tesla, for Tesla, well, I guess I don't have to set a buy or target. It's already at a previous one of our buy entries. I don't think I would take that setup today though. A little bit of sell-off yesterday. It struggled to, bro. We hung out at this like 430 level for a while yesterday, and then finally we broke kind of with the rest of the market. Decent pullback on this one. Um, I think I would actually readjust this trade if I could to something to this perspective. Target though might be into that 430 since that's probably going to be a decent resistance. That would probably take you about 1-to-1, maybe get a 1.2, something to that. But yeah, I would say this one fades. Again, no real levels up until I think your target for today probably about 433.48 in a bullish direction. Otherwise, with the gap up, that tells us sentiment is trying to at least be bullish for today, even though it's inside day. I think I'd be buying this thing as close as possible to 426.27. Not enough room for me to short at this level. If it wants to go a little bit higher, get back to 433.48, that's probably where I would look to short, and see if bears want to step in or bulls take a little bit of gain. after we did finally get a little bit of a pullback. Even all these pullbacks are just hitting retest, and maybe with the overall trend being bullish, we could break through again some of these other levels. But for me, yeah, as close as possible to 426.21 as possible. TTD looks phenomenally interesting for today. I'm gonna have to move all these tickers around today. That's no fun. That's the downfall of having a extremely large list of stocks. Um, yeah, big candle for me is 45.95 again. Just the same approach. Lots of selling, price decline, a lot, highest volume right around that 45, whatever we just said. Until we get past that, um, yeah, we'll see if there's more downtrend. Now you got a close finally above it. You have another day bullish. I think yesterday was just really a pullback into this level. If we extend this out a little bit further, and that looks good for me for today. So small pullback inside day candle for right now, but you are above prior VPOCs as well. I would think if you get a pullback into kind of right where we just bounced to now, anything above that, besides the psychological level here, I think you have plenty of room to the higher side on this one. So I would be interested in day trading TTD on that little gap up, providing that we are above 46.78, something like that. APP, Tesla bearish below 420. It's not allowed to go before. It's not allowed to get below 420. That's Elon's number. He's not going to allow that nonsense. App is looking okay. You have some room on this one. This is a retest gap from yesterday. I don't think we get a full-on pullback. If we do, like, no, if you want to take a bull stab at this thing, a full retest would be 629.52. I think that's a really good gap for today. Um, Maybe just to get to this 647.89 if you get some profit taking. Again, you had some bear step in here. That's your highest price. If you get pulled back to that, I think that's your buy spot for app and next target 665.86. So we'll see if that holds. Otherwise, you still have good room at open if this thing takes off. I would love to see a little pullback first, but we'll scoot this one higher on the list as well. And I think we do get that small pullback at least. There's a lot of buying yesterday. Let's see what else we got. Give me more tickers. How do we run through that entire list already? It's gonna go below 420, not today, but possibly in the coming days. Yeah, I mean, if you give it enough time frame, I think it will probably pull back eventually. We've had a crazy move. CAR, Avis, Budget Group. What happened to CarMax yesterday? They got clobbered. That's the morning bell already? Stay above this 163.08 and then maybe get continuation into 164.50. Otherwise, start dropping below it. There's a lot of room to the downside, probably 161.25. Other than that, everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. That is the morning bell.